Good morning, students. Once again, welcome back to the English online class session. And we people have been going through the chapter 5 Indigo by Louis Fisher from your book Flamingo. Before I proceed with the rest of the part, let me have a quick feedback of what we have done in the previous classes for this chapter. My dear students, I'm not going to go too deep into the introduction of Louis Fisher, the author of this chapter, because let us just move fast to the next part which I want to take actually for today's class. In this chapter, we people have seen till now that Louis Fisher, to write down a biography on Gandhiji, went to interview him, in which Gandhiji said that he would like to narrate the incident which urged him to chase, to ask or urge him for the departure of the Britishers from the motherland. He says that that incident took place somewhere in 1917 and he started narrating the entire episode. We can say or we can call this episode as the Champaran episode. So it happened like this, that in 1916 in December there was a meeting held by the Indian National Congress in Lucknow, and Gandhiji along with many other around some 2,301 representatives and many other visitors was attending this meeting. And then it so happened that there he happens to meet a peasant, and he said that he was no different from the other peasants of India, and he came all the way from Champaran to take Gandhiji along with him to Champaran, a place which was not known to Gandhiji at that time. The reason for the visit of that peasant, whose name is Rajkumar Shukla, as mentioned over here in the chapter, is the sharecropping system. From age long, sharecropping system persisted in that place called Champaran, and a lot of injustice had been done by the landlords towards the peasants, Indian peasants. About sharecropping, I have already told you, and this chapter is basically circulating around indigo sharecropping. And then the person, Rajkumar Shukla, he came all the way from Champaran to take Gandhiji along with him. Gandhiji was a busy person. He said that, okay, I will go with you, after seeing the firmness and the determination of Rajkumar Shukla. And then it was decided that after his Calcutta meeting, Shukla will meet him there, and then he can take Gandhiji to the place where he wants to take him. Shukla did as was asked. He waited for months on his haunches, I have explained to you. And then Gandhiji, after the meeting got over, as was promised, boarded the train with him to Patna, Bihar. After they got down over there, he was taken to Rajendra Prasad's house, the lawyer, and later who became a part of the freedom fight and also became the president of the Indian National Congress Party, and then the president of Free India. The lawyer was not at home. Instead, they were received by his servants, who treated them very badly because according to them they were untouchables and they never knew who Gandhi was. And moreover, Gandhiji came with Shukla, so they just jumped to the conclusion that he might be another peasant. And then the incident of not letting him draw the water from the well very clearly paints the peak or the height of untouchability that persisted in India before independence. Then Gandhiji, from there, he decided instead of going to Champaran, he will move to Muzaffarpur, and for this he telegrammed to Professor J.B. Kripalani, whom he happens to meet in Shantiniketan. And then he got down there, or he reached Muzaffarpur at midnight on 15 April 1917. And he was received by a big crowd of students and Kripalani. He stayed there 2 days in another person's house. His name was Professor Malkhani. He was a government official, and Gandhiji appreciated this act of harboring him in his house, because it was really, you can say that a lot of strength was required to give shelter to a person who was involved in freedom fight, means Gandhiji. The arrival of Gandhiji spread out like jungle fire, and people from all over, especially the peasants, they wanted to see the champion who had come to rescue them. And then Gandhiji happens to meet the lawyer. The lawyers gave him the briefing, and also they told him about the fees being taken from them, for which they got scolding from Gandhiji. And Gandhiji concluded from all the briefing that there is no use of taking the entire matter to the court, because the most important thing was to take out the fear that was there in the heart of the peasant. Now, further, what was indigo sharecropping actually? Indigo sharecropping is in this way, that most of the agricultural land over there in Champaran district was owned by the English landlords, Englishmen, and then they used to give these lands to the Indian peasants on rent, with under one condition, that in 15% of the rented land they have to grow indigo, and the entire harvest of indigo have to be given as rent. So this was the indigo sharecropping system. Then meanwhile, it so happened that Germany started manufacturing synthetic indigo, which became more popular in the market. And because of that reason, the indigo grown there in Champaran district was next to nothing. And that is why the British landlords acted smartly, and they said that if the Indian peasants want to be out of this contract of this indigo sharecropping, they must give them compensation. You just imagine the Indian peasants, they were growing the indigo and they were giving the entire harvest to them with no profit, and still for coming out from that agreement they have to give the compensation, because this entire agreement was a trouble for them, it was a headache for them. They wanted to come out of it, so some of them readily agreed to it, gave the money and signed and all. Some said no. They hired the lawyers, the landlords hired the thugs. And then when the peasants, the people who had given the money, they came to know about the synthetic indigo, they understood the entire matter and they started asking money back. This was the time when Gandhiji arrived over there. After he has arrived there and he came to know what indigo sharecropping was all about, he started collecting facts, means proofs and reasons. And then the first thing he did was he visited to the secretary of the British Landlord Association, and the secretary, you know what he said to Gandhiji? He said to Gandhiji that you are an outsider. And Gandhiji, he said, I'm not an outsider. He said, I'm an Indian. I'm an Indian means this land is mine, this country is mine, I'm not an outsider. Then from there he went to the British official commissioner asking for some details, informations, and there he was bullied. And the person threatened him, asked him to quit that place, that Tirhut division where the Champaran district lay. And then Gandhiji was Gandhiji. He decided he's not going to leave. Instead of that, he went to Motihari, the capital of Champaran. And then there, several other lawyers also came along with him, and they rented a house, turned it into a headquarter, and he started his investigation, collecting all the proofs, evidences and all. Meanwhile, he got the news that somewhere nearby village, a peasant was maltreated by the Englishmen, or maybe by the thugs hired by them. And then those days transportation conveyance was, you know how it was during the time when India was not free. So an elephant was brought, and on the back of the elephant he sat down, and he was supposed to go and inspect the entire situation. He just moved maybe a little distance. At that time, the police superintendent's messenger reached over there, and he said to him that it's an order that he must go back to the place from where he started. Means that house which he had turned into a headquarter. Very humbly Gandhiji, he followed it, and then after reaching over there, that same messenger handed him over another official notice in which it was asked to quit Champaran immediately. Gandhiji, he signed, because he has to give the receipt back, so he signed the notice, but he also wrote on that he is going to disobey this order. Okay, he has decided to disobey the order, an official order, a government order. So the result was what? The consequence was a summon. A case was put on him, and he has to appear in the court for the trial the next day. That night he stayed awake, and then he telegraphed to Rajendra Prasad and asked him to bring along with him the influential people, those who are having power in their hand. He also gave instructions in his ashram, and then he wrote about the entire report to the Viceroy of the British government. Then the next morning, when he has to go to the court, he has to appear for the trial, the entire Motihari was black with peasants, means in numbers of thousands. The peasants reached over there front of the court. It was a kind of a, you can say, a demonstration which was not planned at all. And frankly speaking, they never knew about Gandhi and his South Africa record. You all know about South Africa incidents which has prompted or which has urged Gandhiji to fight and then think about the freedom struggle of his own country, etc., etc. And then they just knew only one thing, that a man came, a Mahatma, and he was here to rescue them, to solve their problem, and now he himself is in trouble with the authorities. Just to support him, they all gathered there front of the courthouse, and it was in thousands. And you can say that it was less like a stepping stone towards the liberation from fear that they had towards the Britishers. The officials, they felt totally powerless, helpless, because they were not able to control the crowd. And you know what happened? They called Gandhiji, the one on whom they have charged the case, to control the crowd. And he very politely, he controlled the crowd. But the most beautiful thing is that this entire incident has given a very solid proof to the Britishers that till now their strength, which was not challenged or questioned, is now going to be challenged by the Indians. The government was totally shocked. They never expected this. And the prosecutor, as I told you last time, a prosecutor will be there, a defense lawyer will be there. And the prosecutor is the one who is going to fight the case against Gandhiji for the government. So he requested to the judge that to postpone the trial because of all those things, and they need to talk to the superiors. This is what we have done in the previous classes. So let's have again a little part of this chapter in today's class. Let me continue. Gandhi protested against the delay. He read a statement pleading guilty. He was involved. He told the court, in a conflict of duties. On the one hand, not to set a bad example as a lawbreaker. On the other hand, to render the humanitarian and national service for which he had come. He disregarded the order to leave, not for want of respect for lawful authority, but in obedience to the higher law of our being, the voice of conscience. He asked the penalty due. Now, when the authorities, they said that they wish to consult the superiors, Gandhiji protested that why you people are delaying the matter. Then he read the statement which was put against him, which was telling that he is guilty. He said that okay, I am involved. I'm not disagreeing to it, I am involved. But you try to understand, I am involved and I am caught between the conflict of duties, a fight of duties. Now you know what are the duties over here? He says my first one is that I am a barrister, I am an advocate. So I don't want to set a bad example to the people as a lawbreaker. But on the other side, I am a human. And the humanitarian and national service means the service towards the nation and the humans, the human beings, the human race, the mankind, tells me that I have to render my duties. He said that this is what I had come over here for. He clearly said that I am not going to leave. Not because that I want some respect, but it is an obedience. It is the voice of my conscience. You know what is conscience? Antaratma. It is my conscience which tells me that I have to stay, I have to do this. And then he asked what penalty he must pay for this. Now, what was the result of all this? The magistrate announced that he would pronounce sentence after a 2-hour recess and asked Gandhi to furnish bail for those 120 minutes. Gandhi refused. The judge released him without bail. You just see how it was. This man, Gandhiji, whom we call the father of the nation, I don't know, he had a magical wand or what, but he got thousands of people collected. He never said anyone to come there, but to support him, whom he never ever met, those people, they all collected front of the courthouse in thousands, shaking the entire British government, because they never expected any of this kind of demonstration. This was first time for them. And then when Gandhiji spoke about being guilty in the eyes of the law and putting forward his words, the magistrate said that he will pronounce sentence, means he will give his judgment after 2 hours recess. And he asked Gandhiji that he has to furnish bail for this 120 minutes break. Gandhiji said that I'm not going to get any bail. I'm not going to apply for bail. And you just imagine, the judge released him without bail. When the court reconvened, the judge said he would not deliver the judgment for several days. Meanwhile, he allowed Gandhi to remain at liberty. Wow. Really, it looks like as if though actually the twist came from here onwards in the entire Champaran episode. When the magistrate said that you apply for bail, Gandhiji said that I don't want. And he was given bail without applying for it. Then when the court reconvened, means again resumed the work, the judge, after 2 hours recess, the judge said that he has decided to give the judgment after some days. And meanwhile, Gandhiji is on liberation, means no need to be in jail. It was something really great. Now let us see the next, what is waiting for us. Rajendra Prasad, Brij Kishore Babu, Maulana Mazrul Haq and several other prominent lawyers had arrived from Bihar. They conferred with Gandhi. What would they do if he was sentenced to prison? Gandhi asked. Why? The senior lawyer replied. They had come to advise and help him. If he went to jail, there would be nobody to advise and they would go home. Okay. Many prominent lawyers of that time, names are mentioned over here, like Brij Kishore Babu, Rajendra Prasad, Mazrul Haq. They all came there. And they met Gandhi and they spoke to Gandhi, confronted with Gandhi. And then Gandhiji, he asked them one simple question. He asked that if I was sentenced to prison, what would you people have done? Then one of the senior lawyer, he said that, what to do? We came to advise you, and if you would have gone to jail, we would have gone back home. This was the answer given by one of a senior lawyer in that group. Then Gandhiji asked another question. What about the injustice to the sharecroppers? Gandhi demanded. The lawyers withdrew to consult. Rajendra Prasad has recorded the upshot of their consultations. They thought amongst themselves that Gandhi was totally a stranger, and yet he was prepared to go to prison for the sake of the peasants. If they, on the other hand, being not only residents of the adjoining districts, but also those who claim to have served these peasants, should go home, it would be shameful desertion. The next question which was shot by Gandhi was, what about the injustice to the sharecroppers? Means, if I go to jail, you people go back home, then what about the injustice done to the sharecroppers? Now the lawyers were stuck. They all moved back to have consultation, meeting. Our Sri Rajendra Prasad ji, he had said about some of the highlights of that consultations. He said they thought among themselves. Now we all know that Gandhiji was not from Bihar. So they all started thinking that Gandhiji, who was a total stranger for this place, is prepared to go to jail, is ready to go to jail for the sharecroppers, means the poor peasants. Then we people who are the residents who belong to this district as well as the nearby district, if we people who always have been making high claims that we have served the peasants, if we people go home, it will be a very shameful act on our side. They accordingly went back to Gandhi and told him they were ready to follow him to jail. The Battle of Champaran is won, he exclaimed. Then he took a piece of paper and divided the group into pairs and put down the order in which each pair was to court arrest. After this consultation, the lawyers they went back to Gandhiji and said to him that if he goes to jail, they will follow him. And then Gandhiji exclaimed, he was happy and he said, the Battle of Champaran is won. See, before the result, Gandhiji made a declaration. He said, the battle is won. Yes, that's true, my dear children. That is true. If we all stand together, we are able enough to face the challenges. And here, the same thing happened. When the lawyer said that if you are going to prison, we are ready to follow, he said the battle is won. And then he took out a piece of paper and he divided all the lawyers into different groups, and they spoke to each other how they will be giving court arrest. You all might have heard about, in Hindi we people call it as Jail Bharo Andolan, which was done by many of the great leaders in their time during the freedom struggle. Let's continue. Several days later, Gandhi received a written communication from the magistrate informing him that the lieutenant governor of the province had ordered the case to be dropped. Civil disobedience had trimmed the first time in modern India. After this incident of courthouse, Gandhiji received a written letter from the magistrate stating that the lieutenant governor of the province of that area has decided to drop the case which was charged on Gandhiji. And in this way, without raising any weapon, without breaking any law in the sense that without any fights, nothing, civil disobedience means without any violence, very peacefully but in a disobedient manner, a fight began, and thus the civil disobedience had a victorious step towards the freedom for first time in modern India. Gandhi and the lawyers now proceeded to conduct a far-flung inquiry into the grievances of the farmers. Deposition by about 10,000 peasants were written down and notes made on other evidence. Documents were collected. The whole area throbbed with the activity of the investigators and the vehement protests of the landlords. After this court incident, Gandhiji and the lawyers didn't drop their work. Instead of that, the inquiry was in full-fledged form. They all went into the problems of the farmers. Notes were prepared, written down documents were made, and many documents were collected as evidences. The whole area was just throbbing with activity. Means it was like lot of activity was going around by the investigators, means Gandhiji and the lawyers. And when this was done, protests were also there, vehement, means in a very vital way, in the sense here vital doesn't means important. Here it means that in a very in a very arousing manner, means to make you people understand a little more clearly. You cannot say a poisonous way or in a very arrogant manner, but in a very big number with lot of anger, protest was made by the landlords. Today we will have this much, and then we will continue the rest of the parts in the next classes. And my dear students, the request that I had been making from the beginning, that is, please each and every one of you go through the videos of all subjects of yours, because after the school reopens, we people will have to move on to the next one due to the lack of time. Till then, goodbye, stay home, stay safe.